loves, it's me, Elizabeth Lauren, and welcome to my channel. Today's video is all about the dreaded deployment. So if you haven't watched my last deployment update, number 1, I recommend checking that out first because I talk about how me and Jeffrey dealt with finding out that he was being deployed. So I think that's really important to watch that first and then come back to this video, because in this video I'm going to be talking about how we're doing currently, some of the care packages that I've made for Jeffrey, as well as tips leading up to deployment and tips that are going to help you, handle finding out that your spouse or loved one is deployed way better, because when I found out, I was a mess. So when I posted my first life update in January, I actually was in a really good place up until I found out that my dad got in a car wreck. And when I found out, I was actually out with my friend, and I found out and my mood like completely changed, and I had to wait until I got home basically before I could cry. And yeah, it was really, really hard because I didn't have, Jeffrey to lean on. I had to kind of lean on myself. And thank God my dad is okay. He just has, a little bit of back pain right now, but he's okay. It just was kind of like traumatizing to me because I already lost my biological dad when I was 4 years old. He died of a brain aneurysm that resulted from a heart attack. So it was just kind of like scary because like I love my mom and dad like with all my heart, and it like freaked me out, and I don't know, like that was really, really hard. And it didn't help that Valentine's Day was like right around the corner. And if y'all don't know, Jeffrey is my one and only Valentine. I've never had a Valentine before, and up until Jeffrey. And I always hated Valentine's Day. Like I hated the holiday so bad. But Jeffrey knew that, so literally our first Valentine's Day, he made the day special. He had like a promposal planned, and it was literally like the cutest thing ever. And then our second Valentine's Day, he got me a giant teddy bear because he knows I love them so much, and I've always wanted one for Valentine's Day. I don't know why, I just do. And so he got me one. And this Valentine's Day, it would have been our first Valentine's Day together while we're married. So it was kind of important to me, and he wasn't there, and I still kind of get emotional talking about it. But my friend was actually going through the same thing. Like her husband was away for military reasons, and so she was kind of sad too. And so we all decided to have a Valentine's Day party at my house, and we had food, we had cupcakes, because gotta have junk food on Valentine's Day. We had board games, and we painted, and they honestly made that day so special, because if it wasn't for them, I'm pretty sure I would have been crying and watching like The Notebook and feeling sorry for myself. So I'm really glad that we all got together and had a good day. So yeah, I'm really grateful for them. One thing I want to say is whenever me and Jeffrey do try to talk, it's really hard. Our FaceTime calls drop like all the time because our Wi-Fi there isn't the best. So yeah, yesterday was actually the first time we actually got to talk for longer than 5 minutes, and it was awesome. Like just hearing his voice and seeing him and knowing he's okay, and joking around with him, like it was just good to hear his voice. So I was really, really happy about that. But yeah, right now I'm doing really well. Honestly, I'm handling this deployment better than I thought I would. I have like my bad days. I have days where I just want to cry, or I just really miss him. But honestly, it really, really helps that I'm going out with my friends, and I'm going to the gym, and just doing everyday things like going to Hobby Lobby with my friend, or just keeping myself busy. Because if I wasn't keeping myself busy and I was just sitting around the house all day, I honestly would be miserable, and I would feel like time is like going by really slow, but actually time is flying by really, really quick so far. Even Jeffrey feels that way, and that's awesome because I don't want him feeling miserable either. He actually has his good and bad days too. Like, obviously he really, really wants to go home. Like, he's so ready to be home, but he's made like so many friends there, and there's a lot of stuff for them to do, surprisingly. And yeah, so we're just trying to be positive and trying to talk to each other as much as we can. And yeah, he also just got his Valentine's Day box, and I'm super, super happy because like he finally got it. Like, it's literally been over a month since I sent it. Yeah, over a month. And he finally got it, and it made his day. Like, he was like, "You're the best wife ever, and I love you so much." And he was saying how his friends thought it was cool, and I was like, I feel special, like, I'm cool. But yeah, like, he honestly really loved it, and it made his day. So send your care packages, because, you know, make their day. Like, yeah. Plus, they're really, really fun to make. Like, I had so much fun decorating it. You don't have to decorate it, like, if you want to save room and all that, but like, I'm extra. Obviously, I like to do things over the top sometimes. So yeah, I was really, really happy that he finally got it, because I have been waiting for him to get it and like for him to tell me that he loved it. So yeah. So before I get into the tips on deployment, I want to talk about the care packages that I sent Jeffrey. The first one I sent was a Dallas Cowboys football themed box. It was really, really cute, and I wanted it to be football themed, so I put like a bunch of snacks and junk food and like, you know, stuff like that in the box. And I really love how it turned out. I did silver and white stars. I actually drew the little navy blue star in the middle of the football field and like glued it down and all that. And it was really, really cute. Like, I love how it turned out. It's honestly one of my faves that I've made so far, and I know Jeffrey's gonna love it because he loves the Dallas Cowboys. He loves football, he loves all that. So I can't wait till he sees it. My dogs are trying to get into the room apparently. But yeah, the other box I made is kind of like a travel inspired box. I can't show you the full thing because it actually shows where Jeffrey is currently deployed, and I can't show you all that because he'll get in trouble and privacy reasons. But it's really cute. I love how it turned out. I wanted to do like a vintage themed travel like inspired box, and I put a little airplane. There's a little envelope that says "We miss you," and that has like pictures of me and the dogs. And yeah, I just put little cute Polaroid pictures in there. I made the inside Texas because that's where we're from, and then I put North Dakota because that's where we live right now. So yeah, I love them so much. Okay, so now let's get into some tips that are going to help you when you find out that your loved one or your spouse is being deployed. So the first tip I have is don't dread on it too much. And I say this because they are, or your loved one is going through a lot already. You know, they have training coming up. They have all these responsibilities that they have to get taken care of before they leave. They're stressed out, they're anxious, they don't know what to expect when they get there. They don't know how it's going to be on a day-to-day basis. So they're freaking out, you know, they're going to be deployed, like, it's scary. And when you're sad and when you're like putting all your problems on them, it's just going to make the situation worse, because it's going to make them worry about you when they need to be focusing on their job. Like, you don't need to be worrying them every single day and being like, oh my god, I'm so miserable, I'm so depressed. Because yes, you are going to feel that way, and I totally understand, and it's a very valid reason to be, you know, upset. But you need to be strong for them, because if they're constantly worrying about you, especially if their, you know, career involves like being on the battlefield, that's not a good thing, because you're stressing them out. You're making them focus on you when they need to be focusing on what they're doing. So just keep that in mind and just try to be positive. try to be their support system, let them lean on you, let them come to you with their problems, and just be their rock, be there for them, because they're always there for you, you know? So yeah, that's really important, because whenever I found out that Jeffrey was being deployed, I was miserable. I cried for like 3 days straight. I talked about it a lot, and it got to the point where it stressed Jeffrey out. So I was like, whoa, I need to stop. I need to just make the most of the time that we have together and make it happy and positive for him so that he's not worrying about me. So yeah. My next tip is to make each moment count, and this is really important because you want to make memories and you want to be happy and end things on a good note before they leave. So it's really, really important to just enjoy y'all's time together and, you know, be happy and go on a little vacation, or, you know, just do something special for them to let them know that you love them and that you're there for them. My next tip is to have a plan, and this is really important because you need to know whether you're going to go home while they're deployed or if you're going to stay on the base. I chose to stay. One reason being because we have 2 dogs, and my parents don't want them at their house, so yeah, that kind of sucks, but honestly I feel like it's a good thing because we're saving money because we're not like moving and everything. And if you do go back home and you do live like in a different state, you're gonna have to put all your stuff in storage, which costs money. You're going to have to move back home. You're not going to be able to get your house. You're going to have to get a new house whenever you come back to the base, which is just really stressful, especially when they're just coming home. And you know, there's just a bunch of different reasons why it's better to stay. But spouses do end up going home, and you can get someone to look after your house, but at the same time you're really not supposed to leave housing for that long. So yeah, that's why we just ended up staying here, and I just think it's easier to stay home or stay on base instead of going back home. My next tip is to be flexible. Now this is important because they could have training being delayed like Jeffrey's was. Their deployment date could get pushed back, or they could end up being deployed a little bit earlier. Jeffrey also had that same thing happen. And there's like a bunch of different reasons. Like they have a bunch of responsibilities that they have to take care of before they leave. So there could always be something that they have to go do, and you know, you might have a vacation planned or a date planned, and then their training ends up being on that day and they don't find out till last minute. So you kind of have to be flexible and just know that your plans aren't set in stone because the military owns them and they make the rules, so you kind of have to just go along with it. It's hard, I know, especially for someone who likes to plan out things, but that's the way the military is. My next tip is to go to these spouse meetings. Now, I honestly didn't want to go to the first meeting, but I'm really glad I did because I met a lot of spouses that are going through the same thing. You know, deployment is scary, and it helps when you have someone that can relate to the way you feel. And yeah, it's just good to know that you're not alone, and that's a really great way to make friends. And another reason to go to these spouse meetings is because you learn so much that you didn't know. There's a lot of things that you wouldn't have even thought to take care of before they leave, but it's actually really, really good that they tell you these things, because there's so many stuff, like living in North Dakota wise, like there's so much that you have to do for the house when it's winter time and when it's springtime and all that, that it's just good to know. So I'm really glad I went to those meetings, and I learned a lot, so I think it's really important. Next tip is have a copy of their orders. Now this is important in case you know you need to do their taxes or any paperwork you need to fill out regarding your spouse. And it's also important for housing, because if you live in North Dakota, you have to shovel your sidewalk. And if you give them a copy of their orders proving that they're deployed, you can actually have housing go and do your sidewalk for you. Unfortunately, Jeffrey took his orders with him, so yeah, I just shovel my own sidewalk, but it's not a big deal. Like, I literally just have a little bit to shovel. So yeah, but if you do want someone to shovel your sidewalk, or you know, anything like that, it's good to have a copy of your orders. My next tip is to budget and know when bills are being paid or when they're due beforehand, because I honestly didn't know when the bills were due, how much Jeffrey was going to get paid, when he gets paid. Like, that was all Jeffrey. Like, he handled all of that because our bills are automatic, so we don't really have to, you know. But now I do. Now I know when he's getting paid and when certain bills are due, and it's important because it helps me budget my grocery list, and if I want to go get my nails done or go buy paint or something at Hobby Lobby, I know when certain bills are due so that I know how much I can spend. So yeah. And also another thing is, don't go overboard spending all your money while your husband or wife is deployed, because just don't. Like, you're gonna go into debt, or like, just don't do it. Like, save your money, be smart about your money. My next tip is, if you know the address where they're going to be deployed, you can actually send them care packages in advance so that when they get there, they're waiting for them. And that's important because, you know, it saves room whenever they're packing to deploy. And it also is really cool because it takes a long time for boxes to get there. In some cases, like for Jeffrey, it takes a little over a month. So it's good to know their address, because you can just send them everything that they need, like their clothes, some food, toiletries, hygiene products, and stuff like that. And it'll literally be waiting for them when they get there. Also, make sure you get everything you need on their deployment list, and keep in mind that they are going to be gone for 6 months or longer. So know how much you need of each thing. For example, Jeffrey had to get bed sheets, he had to get a blanket, he had to get shaving cream, so he had to get like 6 months worth of shaving cream, 6 months worth of toothpaste, body wash, body spray, stuff like that. So just keep in mind how much they're going to need of each thing. You can still send care packages of all that stuff to save room, but me and Jeffrey actually got a lot of his stuff beforehand, and we made sure to get enough of each thing. Q-tips, you know, stuff like that. Also, another thing is, if you are going to get their deployment stuff before they leave, make sure to get it like each grocery trip, get a couple things at a time, because if you wait till last minute and try to get their whole list of things, it's just going to be really expensive for one, and it's just a lot. Like, there's a lot that they need before they leave. So try to get, you know, a little at a time, and yeah. And my last tip is, do not procrastinate, because if you try and wait to get everything done before they leave for their deployment, you are seriously going to be so miserable. Like, it's going to be a nightmare trying to get everything done. So don't procrastinate. Try and get everything you need beforehand, get everything done beforehand, and know what you're going to have to do when they're gone, as far as like the house and bills and all that good stuff. Alright loves, thank you so much for watching. I hope some of these tips helped y'all out. I know if I would have known some of this beforehand, I wouldn't have been as scared and worried about being alone. But I really hope this helped, and just know that I'm always here for y'all if y'all need someone to talk to. And you can reach me on all of my social media, or even comment down below on my videos, and I will answer you as quick as I can. But yeah, thank you all so much for your support and for letting me lean on y'all, and for helping me out. Y'all know who y'all are who do help me out, and I vent to all the time. So thank you so much for that. Y'all honestly mean the entire world to me. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to give it a big thumbs up, and I will see y'all in my next video. Bye, loves!